It's 2 a.m., and I'm field testing a new waterproof tent in my own living room because my marriage has become less reliable than outdoor gear in a thunderstorm. The irony isn't lost on me. I spend my days testing equipment designed to withstand the elements, yet I couldn't weatherproof my own relationship. My name is Owen Fletcher, and I'm 31 years old. For the past 6 years, I've worked as a product tester for Summit Outdoor, a mid-tier gear company that sells to weekend warriors who think buying expensive equipment makes them adventurous. It's honest work, pays decent, and I actually enjoy putting products through their paces. There's something satisfying about finding the breaking point of things. Turns out that skill would come in handy. The front door opens with a creak that echoes through our sparse apartment. Kendra walks in, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor like a countdown timer. She's 29, works as a junior PR associate at Morrison & Associates, and tonight she smells like someone else's cologne mixed with her usual contempt for everything I represent. Really, Owen? A tent in the living room? She doesn't even look at me as she drops her designer purse, a gift from her mother, onto the kitchen counter. Field testing, I reply, not bothering to look up from my laptop where I'm documenting the tent's setup time. Some of us have real jobs that require actual work. She snorts. Right. Playing with camping gear is so much more important than building professional relationships. Professional relationships. That's what she calls her Thursday night networking events that started 3 months ago. Events that somehow never include spouses and always end with her coming home after midnight, reeking of wine and making excuses. How was your professional relationship building tonight? I ask, finally meeting her eyes. Kendra's face hardens. She's beautiful, objectively stunning with her auburn hair and green eyes, but lately, that beauty feels like a weapon she's sharpening against me. It was productive. You wouldn't understand. Try me. I'm going to bed. She heads toward our bedroom, then pauses. And Owen? Maybe consider that some of us are trying to build something bigger than testing tents for weekend hikers. After she disappears into the bedroom, I sit in my ridiculous living room tent and wonder when exactly my wife started treating me like a consolation prize. We met in college. She was studying communications. I was in engineering before switching to outdoor recreation management. Back then, she laughed at my jokes and said she loved how I saw adventure in everything. Now she acts like I'm holding her back from some grand destiny that apparently involves a lot of after-hours meetings. The next morning, Kendra's already gone when I wake up. There's a note on the kitchen counter. Company party Friday night. Rooftop at Morrison Building. 7 p.m. Try to dress appropriately. Try to dress appropriately, like I'm some embarrassing relative she's obligated to include. I spend the week testing a new line of hiking boots, documenting blister patterns and sole wear. It's methodical work that requires attention to detail, skills that prove useful when you start noticing things like your wife deleting text messages and taking phone calls in the bathroom. Friday arrives with the kind of crisp October air that makes you believe in fresh starts. I put on my best suit, navy blue, nothing fancy but it fits well, and drive to Morrison & Associates. The building is one of those glass and steel monuments to corporate ambition that sprouted up in our city's downtown revitalization effort. The rooftop party is already in full swing when I arrive. String lights cast a warm glow over clusters of PR professionals who all seem to be having the most fascinating conversations of their lives. I spot Kendra immediately. She's wearing a black cocktail dress I've never seen before and laughing at something a tall guy in an expensive suit just said. That must be Christian Blake. I've heard his name dropped in Kendra's conversations lately, always with a tone that suggests he's some kind of office golden boy. He's 32, works in the tech consulting division, and apparently has opinions about everything that Kendra finds absolutely hilarious. I watch them for a moment, noting how she touches his arm when she laughs and how he leans in just a little too close when he talks. Professional relationship building indeed. You look like you're planning someone's murder. I turn to find Alina Pierce smiling at me with the kind of knowing expression that suggests she's been watching the same show. Alina is Kendra's friend from college, 30 years old, works as a UX writer for a tech startup, and has always been the smartest person in any room she enters. She's also stunning in a way that doesn't require effort, with dark hair and eyes that seem to catch every detail. Just observing, I say. Professional relationship building is apparently an art form. Alina follows my gaze to where Kendra is now practically giggling at something Christian said. Ah, yes. Kendra's been very dedicated to her professional development lately. You noticed that too? Owen, I've known Kendra for 10 years. I know when she's working an angle. Alina takes a sip of her wine. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I consider this. What am I going to do? I could confront her, cause a scene, play the role of the jealous husband. Or I could try something else entirely. Mind if I sit with you? I ask. Alina's smile widens. I was hoping you'd ask. We find a small table near the edge of the rooftop, away from the main crowd, but still visible to everyone at the party. Alina is easy to talk to. She's funny, sharp, and has opinions about everything from gear design to city planning. We discuss the flaws in modern tent construction, debate the merits of different hiking trail systems, and somehow end up talking about books we've read and movies we've hated. You know, Alina says, I always wondered what Kendra saw in that whole corporate climbing scene. You're much more interesting than most of the people here. Thanks. You're not so bad yourself. I glance over at Kendra, who's now staring at our table with an expression I can't quite read. I think we have an audience. Good, Alina says. Let her watch. We spend the next hour deep in conversation, and I realize I'm having more fun than I've had in months. Alina gets my sense of humor, challenges my opinions, and doesn't make me feel like I need to apologize for my career choice every 5 minutes. When the party starts winding down, Alina and I walk to the elevator together. I'm not planning anything dramatic, just enjoying the company of someone who actually seems to like talking to me. Owen. Kendra's voice cuts through the elevator lobby. She's standing near the bar with Christian, her face flushed from wine and what I'm beginning to recognize as panic. Hey Kendra, great party. Very professional. I press the elevator button. Where are you going? Home. Alina offered to give me a ride since you seemed busy with your professional relationship building. The elevator arrives, and Alina and I step inside. As the doors start to close, I catch a glimpse of Kendra's face, shocked, speechless, and for the first time in months, completely focused on me. That was fun, Alina says as we descend. Yeah, I reply, watching the floor numbers tick down. It really was. The drive home with Alina is comfortable in a way that makes me realize how tense I've been for months. She doesn't ask probing questions about my marriage or offer unsolicited advice. Instead, we continue our conversation about trail design, and she tells me about a hiking app she's developing that could revolutionize how people plan outdoor adventures. You should beta test it, she says, as we pull into my apartment complex. I could use someone with actual field experience. I'd like that. I pause with my hand on the door handle. Thanks for tonight. I needed that. Anytime, Owen. And Owen, don't let her make you feel small. You're worth more than that. I watch her drive away, then climb the stairs to my apartment. Kendra's car isn't in the parking lot, which means she's probably still at the party, or wherever these professional relationship building sessions typically migrate to after hours. I'm reading in bed when she finally comes home at 1:30 a.m. She's trying to be quiet, but the heels give her away. Have fun tonight? I call out. She appears in the bedroom doorway, still in her black dress, but with her hair slightly messed up and her lipstick gone. We need to talk. Do we? Because you've seemed pretty uninterested in talking for the past few months. Kendra sits on the edge of the bed, not quite facing me. What you did tonight was embarrassing. What I did? You mean having a conversation with your friend while you were busy networking? You know what I mean. Actually, I don't. Spell it out for me. She's quiet for a long moment, and I can see her calculating her next move. Kendra has always been strategic, but lately, it feels like I'm just another piece on her chessboard. Christian and I have been working closely on a project, she finally says. People might get the wrong idea if they see you acting jealous and possessive. Jealous and possessive? I had a conversation with Alina. You were the one who looked like you'd seen a ghost when we left together. That's different. How? Because you did it to hurt me. I close my book and look at her directly. Kendra, when's the last time we had a real conversation? When's the last time you laughed at something I said or asked about my work or acted like you actually wanted to be married to me? That's not fair. Isn't it? You've been pulling away for months. You cancel our plans, you're always on your phone, you come home late and act like I'm bothering you by existing. What exactly am I supposed to think? She stands up abruptly. I'm trying to build a career, Owen. I'm sorry if that doesn't fit into your idea of what a wife should be. That's not what this is about, and you know it. Do I? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you can't handle the fact that I'm ambitious. No, Kendra. What I can't handle is being treated like I'm in your way. She stares at me for a moment, and I can see something shifting in her expression. It's like watching someone decide to stop pretending. Maybe you are, she says quietly. The words hang in the air between us like smoke. I've been expecting this conversation for weeks, but hearing it out loud still hits like a punch to the stomach. At least you're being honest, I say. Owen, No, it's fine. I appreciate the clarity. I set my book on the nightstand. I'll sleep in the guest room tonight. We can figure out the rest tomorrow. I gather my pillow and head for the door, but her voice stops me. Nothing happened with Christian. I turn back to look at her. Yet? She doesn't answer, which is answer enough. The next morning, I wake up on the guest room's uncomfortable futon with a clear head and a plan. I make coffee and sit at the kitchen table with my laptop, doing research, divorce lawyers, separation procedures, documentation requirements. I've always been good at research. It's part of what makes me effective at product testing. Kendra emerges from the bedroom around 10 a.m., looking like she hasn't slept much. She pours herself coffee and sits across from me. What are you doing? Research. I don't look up from my screen. Research on what? Legal separation procedures. Turns out there's a lot to consider. Asset division, lease obligations, timeline requirements. Her coffee cup clatters against the saucer. Owen, don't be dramatic. We had a fight, couples fight. This wasn't a fight, Kendra. This was you telling me I'm in your way. I'm just taking that feedback seriously. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? She's quiet for a moment, staring into her coffee. I don't know. I'm confused about a lot of things right now. Are you confused about Christian? It's complicated. No, it's really not. Either you want to be married to me or you don't. Either you're committed to this relationship or you're not. There's nothing complicated about that. You're being unfair. You can't just demand that I'm not demanding anything. I'm stating facts. You've been emotionally checked out of this marriage for months. Last night, you basically admitted you see me as an obstacle to your happiness. I'm just responding to the information you've given me. I close my laptop and look at her directly. Kendra, I'm not going to fight for someone who doesn't want to be fought for. If you want out, just say so. If you want to explore your professional relationship with Christian, go ahead. But I'm not going to sit around being your backup plan while you figure it out. That's not what this is, isn't it? She doesn't answer, and her silence tells me everything I need to know. I'm going to stay at my brother's place for a few days, I say. That'll give you some space to think about what you actually want. When I come back, we can have a real conversation about where this is going. Owen, wait. What? I do care about you. This isn't about not caring. Caring isn't enough, Kendra. It never was. I pack a bag and drive to my brother Mike's house across town. Mike is 3 years older, works in construction, and has the kind of straightforward personality that makes him easy to talk to. His wife Sarah makes excellent coffee and doesn't ask too many questions. "She's having an affair?" Mike asks after I explain the situation. "Emotional affair, at minimum. Probably heading toward more if it hasn't already." "What are you going to do?" "Document everything. Protect myself legally. Start fresh." Sarah refills my coffee cup. "That's very mature of you." "I don't feel mature. I feel like an idiot for not seeing it sooner." "You saw it," Mike says. "You just hoped you were wrong." He's right. I've been hoping I was wrong for months, making excuses for Kendra's behavior and trying to convince myself that this was just a rough patch. But rough patches don't involve coming home smelling like someone else's cologne. I spend the weekend at Mike's, and by Monday morning I have a plan. I've researched divorce attorneys, opened my own bank account, and started documenting everything I can remember about Kendra's recent behavior. Dates, times, conversations, inconsistencies in her stories about where she's been. When I return to the apartment Monday evening, Kendra is waiting for me with what looks like a prepared speech. "I've been thinking about what you said," she begins. "You're right that I've been distant. I'm sorry about that. But I think we can work through this if we both try." "Have you been in contact with Christian since Friday?" "We worked together, Owen. Of course I've been in contact with him." "That's not what I meant." She sighs. "We had coffee yesterday to talk about work." "On a Sunday?" It's a complicated project. I set my bag down and look at her. She's trying, I can see that. But she's also still lying, and we both know it. "Kendra, I need you to be completely honest with me. Are you romantically interested in Christian?" "It's not that simple." "It is that simple. Yes or no?" She's quiet for a long moment, and I watch her face as she decides how much truth she's willing to offer. "Yes," she finally says, "but I haven't acted on it." "Thank you for being honest." "So, where does that leave us?" I sit down on the couch and gesture for her to join me. "It leaves us with a choice. We can try to work through this, which would require you to cut contact with Christian outside of necessary work interactions and commit to rebuilding what we had. Or we can acknowledge that this marriage isn't working and end it respectfully. Those are my only options? What other options did you have in mind?" "I don't know. Maybe some time to figure things out? While you continue exploring your feelings for Christian?" "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." We sit in silence for a few minutes. Outside, I can hear traffic and the sounds of people living their lives, making decisions, moving forward. "I think I need that time," Kendra finally says. "Okay." "Okay?" "Okay. I'll file for separation tomorrow. We can figure out the logistics from there." She looks surprised, like she expected me to fight harder or make more of a scene. "Just like that?" "Just like that. Kendra, I'm not going to beg you to want to be married to me. If you need time to figure out whether I'm worth choosing, then you've already figured it out." The next morning, I take a personal day and drive to the office of Janet Morrison, a divorce attorney Mike recommended. She's in her 50s, has kind eyes and a no-nonsense approach that I appreciate. "This seems fairly straightforward," she says after reviewing my situation. "No kids, limited shared assets, both parties employed. Are you anticipating any complications?" "Not from my end. I just want to protect myself and handle this as cleanly as possible." "Smart approach. I'll draw up the separation papers. In the meantime, document everything. Financial records, communication, any evidence of infidelity." Is an emotional affair grounds for divorce in this state? It can be, depending on the circumstances. But honestly, you might not need it. If she's willing to acknowledge that the marriage isn't working, we can proceed with irreconcilable differences. I leave Janet's office feeling lighter than I have in months. There's something liberating about taking action instead of just hoping things will magically improve. That afternoon, I'm back at work testing a new line of sleeping bags when my phone buzzes with a text from Alina. Coffee later? I have some beta testing feedback for you. I smile and text back, absolutely. 6 p.m. at Grind Coffee? Perfect. See you there. For the first time in months, I have something to look forward to. Grind Coffee is one of those places that tries too hard to be authentic. Exposed brick walls, mismatched furniture, and a chalkboard menu that changes daily based on the barista's mood. But the coffee is good, and it's walking distance from my apartment, which makes it perfect for this conversation. Alina is already there when I arrive, sitting in a corner booth with her laptop open and 2 cups steaming on the table. I took the liberty of ordering for you, she says, as I slide into the seat across from her. Dark roast, no sugar, splash of cream. How did you know? Lucky guess. Plus, you seem like someone who doesn't overcomplicate things. I'm trying not to anyway. I take a sip of the coffee. It's perfect. So, beta testing feedback? Right. She turns her laptop around to show me a sleek interface with trail maps and gear recommendations. I've been working on this for 6 months. It's designed to help people plan hiking trips based on their skill level, available gear, and local conditions. I study the screen, impressed by the clean design and intuitive navigation. This is really well done. The gear integration is smart. Most apps just focus on routes. That's where you come in. I need someone who actually knows gear to test the recommendation algorithms. Will it suggest appropriate equipment for different conditions? Are the difficulty ratings accurate? I'd love to help. This could be really useful for people who are just getting into hiking. Exactly. She closes the laptop. So how are things at home? You seemed pretty calm at the party, but I imagine there was fallout. I tell her about my conversation with Kendra, the decision to separate, and my meeting with the divorce attorney. Alina listens without judgment, asking clarifying questions, but not offering unsolicited advice. You're handling this really well, she says when I finish. A lot of people would be falling apart right now. I feel like I should be more upset than I am. Does that make me a bad person? It makes you honest. Sometimes relationships run their course, and dragging it out doesn't help anyone. Have you ever been married? Engaged once. Called it off 6 months before the wedding when I realized I was more excited about the dress than the groom. She laughs. Best decision I ever made. He married someone else a year later, and they seem happy. No regrets? None. I learned that settling for good enough is actually cruel to everyone involved. We talk for another hour about everything except my failing marriage. Alina tells me about her work, her hiking adventures, and her plans to eventually start her own company. I find myself relaxing in a way I haven't in months, remembering what it feels like to have a conversation with someone who's genuinely interested in what I have to say. I should probably head home, I finally say, checking my phone. Early morning tomorrow. Of course. And Owen? If you need someone to talk to while you're going through this, don't hesitate to call. Thanks. That means a lot. I drive home feeling optimistic for the first time in weeks. Maybe this separation is exactly what I need, a chance to remember who I am outside of a relationship that's been slowly suffocating me. Kendra is on the couch watching television when I walk in. She looks up expectantly, like she's been waiting for me to come home. Where were you? Having coffee with Alina. She's working on a hiking app that she wants me to beta test. Kendra's expression tightens. You're spending a lot of time with Alina lately. We're friends, she's easy to talk to. I'm sure she is. I sit down in the armchair across from her. Kendra, we're separated. You don't get to be jealous about who I spend time with. We're not separated yet. The papers haven't been filed. The papers will be filed tomorrow, and even if they weren't, you're the one who said you needed time to figure things out. That doesn't mean I want you running around with my friends. Alina is her own person. She gets to decide who she wants to be friends with. Kendra mutes the television and turns to face me fully. What's that supposed to mean? It means exactly what I said. Alina is an adult who can make her own choices about who she spends time with. Are you sleeping with her? No, but again, that's really not your concern anymore. Of course it's my concern. You're still my husband. I study her face, trying to understand what's happening here. Kendra, 3 days ago, you told me I was in your way. You admitted you have feelings for another man. You said you needed time to figure things out. Now you're acting possessive because I had coffee with your friend? It's different. How is it different? Because Alina is... She stops herself. Alina is what? Nothing. Forget it. But I can see something in her expression that I recognize. It's the same look she gets when she's calculating the social implications of a situation, trying to figure out how something will affect her image or standing. You're not upset that I'm spending time with Alina, I realize. You're upset about how it looks. That's not true. It is true. You're worried about what people will think if your husband starts dating your attractive friend right after you leave him for a coworker. I didn't leave you for Christian. Didn't you? She doesn't answer, which is becoming a pattern with her. Kendra, you can't have it both ways. You can't push me away and then get upset when I find other people to spend time with. You can't tell me you have feelings for someone else and then act jealous when I move on with my life. I'm not jealous. Then what are you? I'm concerned about how this looks. There it is. What? The truth. You're not concerned about me or our relationship or even your friendship with Alina. You're concerned about your image. That's not fair. Isn't it? When's the last time you made a decision based on what you actually wanted instead of how it would look to other people? She opens her mouth to argue, then closes it. We sit in silence for a moment, and I can see her processing what I just said. I should probably find somewhere else to stay until we figure out the living situation, I say. This isn't working for either of us. You don't have to do that. Yeah, I do. We both need space to figure out what comes next. I pack another bag and drive back to Mike's house. Sarah meets me at the door with a sympathetic smile and a plate of leftover dinner. How's it going? She asks. Complicated, but I think I'm starting to see things more clearly. That's good, right? Yeah, it is. The next morning, I file the separation papers and feel like I can breathe fully for the first time in months. Janet assures me that everything is in order and that Kendra will be served within the next few days. How do you think she'll react? Janet asks. I honestly don't know. She seems more concerned about how this looks than how it feels. That's not uncommon. A lot of people get caught up in the optics of divorce and lose sight of what they actually want. I spend the rest of the week throwing myself into work, testing a new line of winter camping gear that requires long hours in climate-controlled chambers that simulate extreme cold. It's methodical, focused work that keeps my mind occupied. Friday afternoon, my phone rings. It's Kendra. I got the papers, she says without preamble. Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Kendra? You said you needed time to figure things out. This gives you that time. I thought you'd fight for us. I thought you'd want me to. She's quiet for a long moment. I saw Christian last night. Okay. We talked about everything. About us, about you, about what I want. And I think I know now. I wait for her to continue, but she doesn't. Are you going to tell me what you decided? I want to try to make this work, Owen. I want to try to save our marriage. What about Christian? I told him it was over, that I chose you. I sit down heavily in my office chair, staring out the window at the parking lot where employees are heading home for the weekend. Why? What do you mean, why? I mean, why now? What changed? I realized what I was throwing away. Or you realized that Christian wasn't as interested as you thought he was. That's not... How can you say that? Because I know you, Kendra. You don't make decisions based on what you want. You make them based on what's available and what looks best. That's cruel. Maybe, but is it wrong? She doesn't answer right away, and I can hear her breathing on the other end of the line. I love you, Owen. Do you? Or do you love the idea of being married? Do you love having a husband who's reliable and safe and won't embarrass you at company parties? Why are you being like this? I'm being honest. For the first time in months, I'm being completely honest. So what are you saying? That it's too late? I think about this question, really consider it. A week ago, I would have jumped at the chance to save our marriage. But now, after spending time with Alina and remembering what it feels like to be appreciated for who I am, rather than tolerated for what I provide, the answer seems obvious. I'm saying that I deserve better than being someone's second choice. You're not my second choice. Aren't I? You spent months pulling away from me, developing feelings for someone else, and only decided you wanted to save our marriage after you'd already filed separation papers. If that's not being a second choice, what is? I made a mistake. Yes, you did. But the mistake wasn't developing feelings for Christian. The mistake was staying in a marriage you didn't want, instead of being honest about it. So that's it? You're giving up on us? I'm accepting reality. We're not happy together, Kendra. We haven't been happy for a long time. Trying to force it isn't going to change that. I can hear her crying now, soft sniffles that she's trying to hide. Part of me wants to comfort her, to tell her we can work it out, but I know that would just be postponing the inevitable. I should go, I say. Take care of yourself, Kendra. I hang up and sit in the silence of my office, watching the last few employees leave for the day. My phone buzzes with a text from Alina. How did the gear testing go today? Want to grab dinner and tell me about it? I smile and text back, absolutely. Pick you up at 7? Perfect. I know just the place. For the first time in months, I'm looking forward to the evening ahead. Alina chooses a small Italian place downtown that feels intimate without being pretentious. The kind of restaurant where you can have a real conversation without shouting over loud music or feeling rushed by hovering waitstaff. We're seated at a corner table with a view of the street, watching people walk by in the golden light of early evening. You look lighter, Alina says after we order. Different than you did last week. I feel different, like I've been holding my breath for months and can finally exhale. The separation papers went through. Filed and served. Kendra called today to tell me she wants to work things out. Alina raises an eyebrow. How do you feel about that? Relieved that I don't want to. Really? Really. 6 months ago, hell, even 2 weeks ago, I would have jumped at the chance to save my marriage. But now, I can see how unhappy we both were. How much energy I was putting into trying to fix something that was fundamentally broken. Our wine arrives, and Alina raises her glass. To clarity, I agree, clinking my glass against hers. Can I tell you something? Alina says, after taking a sip. I never thought you and Kendra were right for each other. No? No. You're thoughtful, genuine, interested in things beyond yourself. Kendra is... She pauses, choosing her words carefully. Kendra is focused on image and status. She wants to be seen as successful more than she wants to actually be happy. How long have you felt that way? Years, but it wasn't my place to say anything. What changed? You did. At that party, I saw you really look at her behavior for what it was instead of making excuses for it. And I realized you deserved to know that someone saw who you really were. Our food arrives, pasta for her, risotto for me, and we eat in comfortable silence for a few minutes. I'm struck again by how easy this is, how natural it feels to be sitting across from someone who actually seems to enjoy my company. Can I ask you something? I say. Of course. Why didn't you and Kendra stay close after college? You seem like you were good friends back then. Alina sets down her fork and considers the question. We were close. Freshman and sophomore year, we were practically inseparable. But junior year, something changed. What happened? I was dating this guy, Marcus. Really sweet, studying computer science. Totally wrong for me, but I was crazy about him. Kendra knew how I felt about him. And she slept with him. At a party, when I was homesick with the flu. Then she told me about it the next day like she was doing me a favor, like she was helping me see that he wasn't trustworthy. Jesus. The worst part wasn't even that she slept with him. It was how she framed it afterward, like she was the victim, like Marcus had seduced her and she was just trying to protect me from getting hurt worse later. Did you believe her? For about 5 minutes, until I talked to Marcus and realized she'd been flirting with him for weeks, asking him questions about our relationship, making herself available whenever I wasn't around. I sit back in my chair, processing this information. That's calculated. Very. And it taught me something important about Kendra. She sees other people's relationships as threats to her own happiness. She can't just be content with what she has. She needs to know she could have what you have too, if she wanted it. Is that what you think happened with Christian? She saw that I was content with my life and needed to prove she could do better? Partly, but I think it's more than that. I think Kendra is fundamentally uncomfortable with genuine intimacy. It's easier for her to chase something new and exciting than to do the work of building something real. We finish dinner and walk slowly back toward where we parked, neither of us in a hurry for the evening to end. The downtown area is busy with Friday night energy, couples heading to dinner, groups of friends bar hopping, people enjoying the crisp fall weather. Want to get coffee? Alina asks as we pass a small cafe that's still open. I'd like that. We find a table outside and order espresso, watching the street life flow around us. There's something peaceful about being part of the city's rhythm without being caught up in it, like we're in our own bubble of calm. I have a confession, Alina says. Oh? I've been wanting to ask you out for years. I nearly choke on my espresso. Years? Since Kendra first introduced us, but you were married, and despite what she did to me in college, she was still my friend. I wasn't going to interfere. What about now? Now you're separated, and I'm done pretending I don't find you incredibly attractive. Even though it might complicate things with Kendra? Owen, Kendra made her choice when she decided to pursue Christian. She doesn't get to dictate what happens next. I study Alina's face in the soft light from the cafe windows. She's beautiful, obviously, but it's more than that. She's direct, honest, unafraid to say what she means. Everything Kendra isn't. I find you incredibly attractive too, I say. Good. Then we're on the same page. What happens now? Now we see where this goes. No pressure, no expectations. Just two people who enjoy each other's company exploring what that might mean. I reach across the table and take her hand. I'd like that. We sit there for another hour, talking and laughing and enjoying the simple pleasure of being with someone who makes everything feel lighter. When we finally part ways, it's with plans to go hiking together on Sunday and the kind of anticipation I haven't felt in years. Saturday morning, I'm testing waterproof jackets in a simulated rainstorm when my phone buzzes with a call from an unknown number. Owen Fletcher? Speaking. This is Dana Martinez from Morrison & Associates. I work with your your estranged wife, Kendra. Okay. I'm calling because there's been a situation at work and I thought you should know about it. I step out of the testing chamber and find a quiet corner. What kind of situation? Someone filed a complaint with HR about Kendra's relationship with Christian Blake. There's going to be an investigation, and it could affect her job. I see. Kendra thinks you filed the complaint. I didn't. I didn't think you did. You don't seem like the vindictive type. But she's pretty upset, and she's been telling people that you're trying to sabotage her career. Why are you calling to tell me this? Dana is quiet for a moment. Because I like Kendra, but she's been making some poor choices lately, and because I think you deserve to know what she's saying about you. I appreciate that. For what it's worth, most people here don't believe her. We all saw how she was behaving with Christian. It was pretty obvious what was going on. After Dana hangs up, I sit in my car for a few minutes, thinking about this development. I genuinely didn't file any complaint with Morrison and Associates, but I'm not surprised that someone did. Kendra and Christian weren't exactly subtle about their relationship. My phone rings again. This time it's Kendra. "You bastard," she says without preamble. "Hello to you too. How could you do this to me? How could you try to destroy my career?" "I have no idea what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me, Owen. HR called me in for a meeting about my relationship with Christian. Someone filed a complaint and I know it was you." "It wasn't me." "Then who was it?" "I don't know, Kendra. But given how obvious you two were being, it could have been anyone." "We weren't obvious about anything." "You were holding hands at the company party. You disappeared together for 20 minutes during the networking event last month. You've been taking long lunches and staying late on the same days. If you thought that was subtle, you were kidding yourself." She's quiet for a moment, and I can hear her breathing heavily. This could ruin everything I've worked for. That's not my fault, isn't it? If you hadn't filed for separation, none of this would have happened. Kendra, you were having an emotional affair with a coworker. That's against company policy, regardless of what's happening in our marriage. It wasn't an affair. We were just friends. Friends don't hold hands at company parties. You're enjoying this, aren't you? You're happy that my life is falling apart. I think about this question seriously. Am I happy that Kendra is facing consequences for her choices? Not happy, exactly. But I'm not sorry either. I'm not happy that you're struggling, I say finally. But I'm not going to pretend to be devastated that your actions have consequences. I hate you. No, you don't. You hate that you can't control how this situation looks to other people. Go to hell, Owen. She hangs up, and I sit in my car for a few more minutes, processing the conversation. I feel bad for Kendra, genuinely, but I also feel like this is exactly what I was trying to avoid by filing for separation, getting dragged into the drama and complications of her choices. My phone buzzes with a text from Alina. "Still on for hiking tomorrow? I found a great trail about an hour north of the city." I smile and text back, "Absolutely, can't wait." Sunday morning arrives crisp and clear, perfect hiking weather. I pick up Alina at her apartment, and we drive north toward the trail she's chosen, talking easily about everything and nothing. She's wearing hiking boots and cargo pants that somehow manage to look both practical and attractive, and she's packed a backpack with water, snacks, and first aid supplies. "You're well prepared," I observe as we start up the trail. "I learned from the best. My dad used to take me hiking when I was a kid. He was obsessive about being prepared for every possible scenario." "Smart man." "He was. He passed away when I was in college, but I still hear his voice every time I pack for a hike." We walk in comfortable silence for a while, enjoying the fall foliage and the sound of our boots on the trail. The path winds through a mixed forest of oak and maple trees, with occasional clearings that offer views of the valley below. "Can I ask you something?" Alina says, as we stop at a scenic overlook. "Of course. Do you regret any of it? The marriage, the separation, the way things ended?" I think about this as we sit on a fallen log and share water from her canteen. I regret that we both wasted so much time trying to make something work that was never going to work. But I don't regret that it's over. What about Kendra? Do you think she regrets it? I think Kendra regrets that it didn't end the way she wanted it to. She wanted to be the one making the choice, controlling the narrative. Having it blow up in her face professionally isn't part of the story she was telling herself. That's a very generous interpretation. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just relieved enough to be out of it that I can afford to be generous. We continue hiking for another 2 hours, reaching a summit that offers panoramic views of the surrounding countryside. It's the kind of view that makes you feel small in the best possible way, reminded of how much beauty exists beyond the complications of daily life. "This is perfect," I say, pulling out my phone to take a picture. "Don't," Alina says. "Just look at it. Be here with it." She's right. I put my phone away and just stand there, taking in the view and the feeling of being exactly where I want to be, with exactly the person I want to be with. "Thank you," I say. "For what?" "For reminding me what it feels like to be happy." She takes my hand and squeezes it. "Thank you for being worth the wait." We stand there for a long time, holding hands and watching the clouds move across the valley below. For the first time in months, maybe years, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.